Ooh, okay, we are back. I feel like every week when I'm supposed to do these live streams, something or another happens, something that makes it difficult to show up. But here I am, very excited to get things started with y'all today. So, just a quick intro. Hey there, I'm Melanie Nogo. I have been a techie since I came out the womb, essentially. From customizing my Black Planet page to launching enterprise software for Fortune 5 companies. I have done it all in the tech space, and now I'm building for myself and helping others along the way. Today, we start building, and I'm very excited about that. Last week, we talked a little bit about my process in theory of how I prepare to build new software using AI tools. Today, I'm actually going to show you what I've done so far, which isn't too much. Some of it I'd done kind of a while ago when I was trying to get my board together and all of that. And then we'll take you through the rest of it and we'll see what Lovable comes up with in today's episode. So, just as a quick reintroduction, and I have a fan with me because it be hot. So, just a quick reintroduction. AIC, or Broad Impact Collective, is my nonprofit. And the idea came from observing something that I've seen for years in African communities. People abroad regularly support family members back home, whether it's school fees or medical bills or housing or emergency situations, business support, you name it. The generosity never ends, it already exists. My question was, how do we make support more structured, transparent, and impactful for both sides? So that's the challenge that I've created AIC to explore. Now, taking that, the general concept of it, last week we went through 5 different stages or 5 different sections that I explore and flesh out before getting to ever building the website. So, just as a real quick recap, the first one is the problem. So, what are we solving exactly? For AIC, it's something along the lines of people already support loved ones financially across borders, but the problem's often informal or difficult to track or disconnected from broader community impact. So that's our starting point. It's not that another nonprofit needs to exist or that people need better ways of sending money. It's that things already exist, but could it be better? Um, and if you can't clearly explain the problem, you're not ready to build it. So that's the first thing that you always want to start with. Generally, it takes a while to get to know your market, to get to really truly understand and get to the core of the problem. But because this is something that I've lived and seen for decades, I feel fairly comfortable with it. So moving on. The second section is users. So you want to think, who are you building this for? And for AIC specifically, we have donors, right? The people that are abroad sending money back home. You have the folks that are the recipients back home receiving that money. And then you have the administrators, so like my team, the AIC team, who is managing the platform and just making sure that everything runs smooth and seamlessly. Each one of those user groups has different goals. They'll experience the product very differently if you think about it. Donors are abroad, so US, UK, Europe, Canada, etc., while the recipients are in Nigeria. Very different cultures in how they experience technology and how they see money, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to keep all of that in mind. And then understanding those differences really help us avoid building generic solutions. The goal is to build solutions that are specific to your users so that it doesn't feel like just another app or just another thing to solve the problem. The third thing that we look at are outcomes. So for each of those user groups that you've identified, what's important to them? What does success look like? For donors, it might be confidence, it might be transparency. For recipients, it's reliable support, dignity, and then for us, the organization, it's trust and participation. Can we actually get this thing off the ground? Can we get people to buy into our vision and understand and trust, the work that we're doing and how we're doing it? Now, those are the things that are measurable. You can create KPIs or key performance indicators behind them. You can use them to track the actual success of your platform. The fourth section is user journey. So now we want to map out the journey of the user. What happens first? What happens second for the donor versus the recipient? Um, for example, you join, you donate, you refer a recipient, that's specifically for the donor. You track impact, donor and administrator. Um, that's a journey, and you want to get as clear about your journey as possible so that for your MVP, your first version, your minimum viable product, you are honing in on what you build and not just building everything and anything because it all sounds good and it feels like you can, and just because you can. So every feature that you build should support the journeys you've identified and the high priority important journeys. Then last, but certainly not least, we have features. So notice how much work you have to do or before you even get to building the features. And most of that work has been pre-done already. So when we get started today, we're starting with how do we flesh out those features using other AI tools before we then jump into Lovable. So building the features or deciding the features becomes a lot easier the more that you've done your pre-work in those other areas. Because now you have context. You have an understanding of why a feature matters. So before you take the time, the effort, the financial resources to build a feature, you have a clear understanding or clear idea of why it's important. So instead of random ideas, we're building tools that support a specific outcome, and that's a completely different mindset. Okay, so I kind of feel like I rushed through that. But as I said, we talked about it in more depth in my last week, I think episode 3 situation. So I didn't want to really, repeat it or go too much in depth this week. I really just wanted to get into the meat and potatoes of it all because I am a tech girly. I like to get my hands dirty. And so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to share my entire screen. So you may see things that you're not supposed to see. Just let's keep that between me and you. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Bum, 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 bum. All right, I'm going to push this off to the side, and I'm going to start with this Lovable PRD. So this is the document that I will, you can still, let me do it this way, because I want this to be big so you can see it. Yeah, this is the document that I will eventually download as a PDF and upload into Lovable. Right now you can see it's a shell, very similar to, I think episode 1 actually is when I went through the PRD for the client that I worked on. And when I say PRD, I use PRD very loosely. Product managers, please stay out my inbox. I know that this is not a formal PRD. This is more like my AI Lite PRD version, okay? But I created one for a client, episode 1, walked you through how I did all of that. And so I'm just taking like a very similar shell, and I'll be copy pasting some of the stuff from ChatGPT into here as we flesh out the idea further in ChatGPT. Before we get there though, I mentioned that I've done some background work. So I wanted to share that with you. For a nonprofit, we have a board of directors. I had to get some of the mission, vision, how things work, operations, all of that kind of high level information together in order to present to them. I've had 2 board meetings with them already. And so I took that information, and there's this tool called Gamma AI or Gamma.app. And I shared this last week, but I wanted to show you in detail what this app is like. And if you're interested in using it, I do have a referral code, I think, in the description. If not, let me know. I'll send it to you. You get some credits. I get some credits. We both win. So what I love about this tool is that it will generate a whole presentation for you based on just a little bit of information that you give it. So this option, you can create, you give it a 1-line prompt, and then it'll try and do all the rest of it for you. For me, I generally use this paste in text situation because I flesh out my ideas with ChatGPT, get a decent outline, and then come back to Gamma and just let Gamma flesh out the additional information and create the visuals. But it also has a website feature that I used. Now, I don't know how in-depth the web page functionality and features are because I use Lovable for that. But this is essentially where I came. And I had a high level, this is what a broad impact is. This is what I'm asked, what, the goals are. Help me create a web page mock-up to start, development. And this is what it spat out, which I was fairly impressed with. Now, none of these links like go anywhere. It's very much a shell, but I'm okay with that. So it gave me a great hero section, really great language around what we're doing, why we're doing it. You're already giving, make it count more. Like it was really very close to if I had sat down and tried to, outline a website myself, what I'd want it to say. The smarter way to send money home, claim tax deduction, specify your donation. Like there's just so much here that I just thought was great. I wanted it to speak to the tax benefits specifically because I know that's something that our community doesn't necessarily know as much about as a whole. So I wanted that to be extremely clear, extremely plain, like copy paste from the IRS website, just so that they know that this is not anything that we're making up. There's no 419 associated with any of this. This is very much legal tax strategy. And then a little bit of credibility, where your dollars go. We talked about transparency for users, simple steps. So as you can see, it really took the time to flesh out the ideas. So this is what I'm about to, I already have it downloaded as a PDF. I'm going to go straight into ChatGPT down and let's start talking about it. So I'm going to say, this is ChatGPT. I have a whole bunch of queries on the side here that you can see. But let's start with a blank page. Hey chat, it's about that time. I'm ready to build the platform for AIC, a Broad Impacts Collective, in Lovable. Can you help me create a QRD and prompt to provide Lovable with so that it's clear on what the expectations for an MVP are? I was about to be really impressed with myself. I knew that if I made it through this whole entire sentence without a single misspelling, I was about to be like, oh, you show it out today. Let me add a file. Now, I've already uploaded this file to ChatGPT. So like it's somewhere in the library, but I'm doing it here because I want y'all to see like the full process. Leverage the document attached, website mockup, if needed. The reason I say if needed is because me and Chat have talked extensively about AIC. It's the one that gave me the outline to then create the website and all of that stuff. But, I just wanted to make sure that it knows. So let's hit send and see what Chat comes up with first. This is actually a great Lovable project because the MVP can be much simpler than the public-facing website implies. After reviewing your mockup, the key insight is AIC is not initially a donation platform. It's a trust and matching platform that helps diaspora donors direct funds to verified recipients while generating the documents, transparency, and compliance, and to eventually support tax-deductible giving. Love it. What I love about Chat is that she always gets to the meat of what's going on. I'm also on the free plan for ChatGPT, by the way, which is a large part of this whole 5-credit startup situation, using the free versions of a lot of these tools. So you'll see these pop-ups and whatnot happen. I will push Chat to whatever the limit is for today, and then we'll come back next week to continue. So it's telling me if you try and build the full version. I told y'all, so love Chat because she gets to the meat of what's going on, but also Chat be like shiny ball syndrome, wanting to do all of the things, build all of the things, and whatever. So it's up to me as the product manager to scale back and make sure that she's staying focused on what I believe is the heart and soul of what we need to get done in the first place. So spend months building complexity. Yep. Diaspora donors will sign up. Recipients will submit needs. Donors will fund those needs. AIC can provide transparency, impact tracking. Okay, I like this. One interesting thing, and this is again just having a fake co-founder to talk to. In my mind, the donors were the catalyst, right? Say someone donates $500, and they might let us know, oh, hey, there's someone that needs $500. Can you please make sure that person gets it, right? That was kind of how I was thinking. The way that chat is talking about it right now is that it's almost like donors can come browse who needs what and select those donations and decide to fund it themselves. That's really interesting. That creates a little bit of stickiness, right? I wonder how that'll feel on the recipient side, right? There's the when we think about Africans specifically, not to say that it may not happen in other cultures, but there's definitely a strong essence of pride among the African culture, specifically Nigerian culture. So the idea of someone being able to go and say, "Hey, I need $500, $1,000 for my child's school fees," have it posted, and then have a donor potentially come and fulfill that donation. I wonder if that'll work. I wonder from a cultural standpoint if that's something that will actually take off. Let's see. We'll try it. Um, Product name, product vision, cool. Problem statement, lovely. MVP goal, lovely. User types, great. Admin, core user flows. Okay, so this I won't copy into Lovable because Lovable does a really great job of deciding things like this on its own. But everything else, I'm going to go ahead and copy paste that. So let's say it will copy. Where are we here? Yes, here. Um, Product name, product vision. I don't even bother making sure everything's the same size font. That doesn't even matter. Problem statement. Where are we? Paste that as well. Cool. MVP goal. Recipients will submit needs. Donors will fund needs. Donors value transparency. Donors give return. Donors return to give again. Okay. Success metrics: 100 donors, 50 recipients. Recipient applications. First 25 funded requests. Okay. This is so interesting. I like this. I like the direction that chat's going in. Um, because it's a great MVP one, right? It's a great way to just get that out there. I was telling you guys about how I was a little concerned with whether or not we can do like direct donation matching, like whether people knew each other or not. This makes it much more like blurred because someone could put up a donation request and someone can go and fill it whether they know the person or not. So if they happen to know the person, that's not it's not that we necessarily orchestrated that. It's like a marketplace, almost like a GoFundMe. But then we can elevate or expand from there. We can start with the marketplace for requests and then go from there. Okay. And then what's next? I need to user types. I don't particularly love how chat puts that horizontal line through everything. I think it just makes the document a little bit bloated. So that's why I'm like copy pasting each section. Please bear with me. Um, Okay, so skipping past the core user flows, even though this is, don't get me wrong, this is important information that you should have an idea of already. But like I said, I trust Lovable and leave those things up to them. Um, MVP features. This is also something that I will leave to Lovable because it does a good job of creating its own sitemap and determining what's important. Donor dashboard, browse needs, recipient dashboard. Request management, donor management, database schema. Definitely don't even get to the weeds of that because what I don't, the reason why I skip a lot of the technical recommendations from ChatGPT is that I don't want to, if you start outlining that level of detail and you miss something, Lovable will assume that you missed it on purpose. Whereas if you leave the technical details to Lovable, it thinks on its own as far as, okay, we've done this, but what about that? Are you missing this? How about this? And so I tend to take chat for its product definition, but not its technical requirements. Okay, this is branding, and I will definitely take that because Lovable will take it more as like a guideline recommendation than like a this is exactly how it needs to be. So I'll just pass that in there. Wait, no, play fair display. I'm using that for another. It's okay. They can be sisters. And then this is the master prompt. Okay. I'm going to take. See again. Chat doing the most. Build a production ready web application called a broad impact collective. Platform connecting members. The platform has 3 roles. Here. This is the prompt that I will copy paste into Lovable. So let's go ahead. So this is Lovable for another website that I have. I want to go to the dashboard. Okay. Oh no, not right. Sorry, this is my client space. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna paste that in there for now. In plan mode. So Lovable has build mode where you can put things directly and it'll just start doing. But they also have plan mode where it'll let you discuss before you start. Now, y'all might think, okay, how many how many AI bots are you going to talk to before you finally build the daggone thing? This is where it's least expensive. Okay, take your time. There's no rush because once you hit go and everything's all up and created, it's much more time and effort to try and like, okay, no, change that, take that out. Oh, this doesn't work. No, you had conversation with ChatGPT first as like a co-founder to make sure you've thought of everything that you need to think of. Using this plan feature specifically in Lovable is so that Lovable is on the same page as you. Now, I'm pretty sure Lovable and ChatGPT use 2 different algorithms on the back end. Obviously, one's Anthropic. I think Lovable uses Claude's, but don't quote me on that. Meaning that they may have 2 different languages, they may process things differently, and you just want to make sure that what you're porting over from one side to the other side is the same and makes sense. Yeah, cool. I'm going to go ahead and attach the one document that I mentioned. File. Shoo-doo-doo-dum. Shoo-doo-doo-doo-doo-dum. Okay, so it's the website mockup. And then I'm going to come back here. Nope, here. This PRD we done created. I'm going to file, download PDF. Okay. And then I'm going to attach that as well. Attach file. Downloads. PRD. Great. So we have those two documents. We have this high level situation, plan mode. All right, let's go ahead. Africa Connect Hub. We'll be changing the name of that. Working. One thing I do want to show you is that, so you get 5 credits daily. So we'll see how many credits that we use, right, during today's session. There's 152 left. I have 46 rolled over from last month, and they just gave me the 100 for this month. I mentioned that I am on the paid plan now, just because this will now be my 4th Lovable project. I probably have 2 more that are coming up as well. And so 5 credits a day just doesn't stretch across all the projects like I need them to. But my goal for today is to see how many that we use. It should be around 5. It shouldn't be much more than 5 for today, just to get the website up and going. When we come back next week, we will start plugging in holes and getting it ready for what we actually want it to do. All right, so Lovable's come back. It has some questions. Great. This is a large build. Should I scope the first version to a focused MVP? Marketing site, authentication, recipient applications, browse, donate to needs, and admin approvals, Stripe checkout, and defer extras, messaging, outcome reports, tax receipts, PDF, tax receipt, PDFs, referrals to later. So let's say MVP focus, marketing site, defer the rest. Include messaging, outcome reports, referrals, disbursement tracking, much larger build. Just the public landing pages from the mockup, add auth roles, donations, and a follow-up. Okay, I'm torn because yes, I wanted to stay focused on the MVP, but I do believe that at least the tax receipts PDF and the outcomes reports, those are important to me in the MVP. So I'm going to say yes, focused MV first, plus outcome reports. Actually no. I'm gonna stay true to the essence of this. So I'll say yes, MVP, and then it'll hold on to those other things. It'll be part of the build that I do with you guys in the future. For Stripe, I strongly recommend Lovable's built-in Stripe payments. No Stripe account or API keys. Oh, yes. Okay, this is an upgrade. So this is the other thing I love about Lovable. I just built SewSabi. This is June 24th. I released SewSabi May 1st. I started building it March 24th, released it May 1st. I had to create a Stripe account, get my testing keys from Stripe, do all my testing with those testing keys, and then when I was ready, had to go back, get production keys, and then update Lovable with that. It looks like now they have built-in Stripe situation where I don't have to do any of that. That is lovely. Shout out to Lovable for that. Um, which sign-in methods for launch? Email and password, Google sign-in. This is also an update because I definitely would have picked this. I definitely would have picked those for SewSabi as well, which lets me know that now that they're available, I can go back and retroactively add those into SewSabi. Cool. How do recipients get on the platform? Self-apply and admin verify, donor, let's say both. They can, yeah, recipients can join via referral from existing donor, then admin fair. Yep, I like that. Okay, so it only had a few questions. You submit that, it'll go back to thinking. Now remember, this is just the plan, so you won't see anything as far as the app live quite yet. You'll only see its plan for how it wants to go about developing it, which for me as a product manager is extremely important. I will go through it in detail. Oh, thank God they brought light. Whew, now my fan's working and everything. What was I saying? So yeah, I'll go through it in detail just to make sure that it's not straying too far from what I believe the original MVP should be. And then we'll also go into build mode. And then that'll be all for today's episode. I have no idea how long this has been already. Oh, 30 minutes. We're good. Okay. So while we're waiting for this to finish thinking and spitting out the plan, I wonder how helpful this is. How helpful it is to watch something being built in real time in front of your eyes. This is when I say 100% my process for Rialto, my process for Gregory and Friends, my process for SewSabi. This is it. And so you're watching my fourth app live, um, including how fast and slow things go. Okay. All right. So what it'll do is it'll make a recommendation based on everything that we've talked about, and then I will either approve or make edits. It's not super long. Okay, trustworthy, warm, nonprofit platform connecting the African diaspora to verified recipients in Africa. Primary, deep green, secondary, gold, neutral, dark text on warm cream. Play fair display. I don't love that because SewSabi is also play fair display, but like I said, they can be sisters because they're all under the same enterprise umbrella. Warm, premium nonprofit, community driven, editorial spacing, generous white space, photography of diaspora families, education. So, off the bat, it understands the design and the brand of what we're going for AIC immediately. Love that. Chef's kiss. Public marketing site from the mock-up. Cool. There's a hero. AIC. mission, how it works, impact, text point. Okay. Needs. Donors can browse without account. Important. So these are the things that I look for, right? Making sure that it's specific and understands exactly what we're looking for. Impact categories: education, basic needs, business dev, emergency, housing. Perfect. Um, Actually, let's say for 5 impact categories, this is me being a little bit particular, but I also just want to show you how easy it is to edit the plan. Let's also add medical. Emergency relief could fall under medical. Let's also add medical um, support so that it's clear as an option. So I'm still in plan mode. I'm essentially giving it feedback on the plan. I hit the send button, it'll go back and make some updates. So I forgot to turn my phone on silent. All right, so back to the plan. Some one thing I do love about Lovable is that it'll give you the exact same plan. It'll just make the updates that you've asked for. Sometimes with Claude and or Chat, if you give it feedback or you're like, okay, I love these things, but can you change these things? It'll give you like a completely different document, and you're like, wait a minute, how did you completely change up? Okay, so now we see 6 medical support. Perfect. Um, Need detail page with story, photos, goal. I can stop yelling. Do you hear how much quieter that is? Love it. Um, Need detail page with story, photo, goal, raised, donate button. All right. Now this is the part where, I mean, we'll have to see. No one wants to feel like a charity case. I know that's certain. No one wants to have their like deepest moments, toughest moments, hardest moments like broadcasted and made to feel less than in a time that's already tough. So putting my product manager hat on, thinking about the user empathy, this is something that I struggle with. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that this is going to be the ultimate way. Maybe what we'll need to do is have high level information. Actually, I'm going to tell chat. I'm going to tell Lovable that right now. Let's make information that's available here gated. High level information can be available to non-signed in users, but detailed information should be saved for donors, members. Hi, name, donation, request description, and donation request amount can be available before authentication. I think that helps balance the best of both worlds. As a donor, you'll want to see and understand what the needs are. But I think you should have to be behind that like protected gate to really get the full story. Um, just so that there's some level of dignity there. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I might be wrong. It feels like a good way to split between the two. Mm. Now, Lovable will let me know if it understands what I'm talking about or if it has questions and needs more information. This way a little bit. There we go. Below me, baby, below me. It's rainy season here in Nigeria, which it means it's supposed to be cooler, but this place still be hot. Still be really, really hot. Okay. It's not asking me any questions, so it seems to understand what I am telling it, which is perfect. Now, notice today all we did was pre planning. All it is making sure that the ideas, the thoughts, the plan is clear for development. If we were doing this with humans, you would still have to do all of this work. It would just be weeks and or months of requirements gathering, um, needs development, needs assessing needs, etc. You might have mock-ups to visually make sure you're on the same page. Text obviously works for robots, computers. Humans, they might need visuals to be able to understand what you're talking about. Um, they may or may not, push back and give you advice, right? Like this idea of like recipient requests, and then donors just coming and matching those requests. Pretty interesting. Never had thought about that. Um, you may not get that working with the development team who just believes their job is to build out whatever you tell them to, right? So there's pros and cons on both sides. And like I said, Lovable for me is great for building the MVP. I don't know how long this will be, like how far I can stretch it until we then not need to be able to custom build and add in, specific things that Lovable just doesn't have available yet. Okay, so detailed page, gated. Public, recipient first name, need title, short description, amount goal and raise, progress bar, category, sign in. Huh, okay. So here goes Lovable adding in another feature. Instead of it just being, okay, I'm donating the full amount, it is, I can donate how much I feel like toward a goal. Okay, cool. This is starting to feel very GoFundMe, which I've actually never really spent time on GoFundMe, to be completely honest. Maybe it's similar, maybe it's not. And then signed in donors, full story, photos, location, recipient bio, document verification, badges, donate button. Cool. Server enforces gating, public server function returns only safe column projection, full details, server function requires blah, blah, blah. Authentication. Okay. Now, my question is, should they be able to donate without an account? No, because I think the idea is we want them to come back. We want to be able to stay in touch with them. Creating an account takes like 2 seconds. Okay. All right, so roles and authentication, blah, 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 blah. This is basically just telling me how it plans to set things up. New signups, choose donor or recipient role at signup. Admin role is granted manually via SQL by the first admin. That's completely fine by me. I need to create an email address for a broad impact, so that'll be the next thing I do. What else? Authenticated areas. Okay, so places where you have to log in. Donor dashboard. Notice how ChatGPT recommended me telling Lovable to have a donor dashboard, but Lovable here already thought for itself and said, okay, there needs to be a donor dashboard. Donation history, total given, impact summary, downloadable receipts list, PDF deferred. That's fine. Notice how I had told it to stick to the MVP, but it's letting me know this is something that we said we were going to do, but we're deferring it. There's the recipient dashboard. There's submitted needs, status, cool. Recipient needs submission. Okay, basically like the form they fill out. Category, title, short public description, full private story, amount requested, photo upload location, recipient application. Okay. ID document upload, situation summary required before posting needs. Okay, so this is basically like what they submit the first time to our admin team, who will approve their documentation to know that they're a real person. So, like for example, this is an MVP version of this. Eventually, this to me becomes a KYC. Here in Nigeria, KYC is big on for platforms. So we would partner with like a KYC company that can handle, the take take a picture of yourself, turn yourself this way, upload your passport or upload your ID, blah 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 blah, like that more formal process. Because this is an MVP, it's a little bit of risk on our end, but we're taking on the is this a real person? Is there need a real validation process? Admin console. Okay, so there's an admin console, which is important, where we can see recipient applications. We can approve, reject with notes. Needs queue, approve, reject before going public. Donations log. User list with role management, perfect. Recipient onboarding, both pass. Self-apply, sign up as a recipient, fill application, admin verifies. Referral, donor generates referral link from their dashboard. Invitee signs up via that link. Refer recorded, good. Application, admin verifies. So see how, again, ChatGPT wanted to give us like the flows for how things should work. Lovable is doing that on its own, and it's doing it in a way that it can track and follow and pay attention to. It's saying like these are the things that we're going to do now, and then these are the things that we should do later. So that's why I leave a lot of the technical recommendations from ChatGPT out and just let Lovable do its thing here. Donations, Lovable built-in Stripe payments. Built-in Stripe payments enable test mode immediately, no keys required. Each approved need equals a Stripe product with flexible amount price. Okay, I don't know. Okay, this is going to be a long shot. I have no idea how Lovable is going to respond to this, but this is something that I was looking into. So Stripe charges fees, payment assessment fees. I want Lovable to let me know what those fees are and if they differ for nonprofits. I believe Stripe charges processing fees. What are those fees? And since this is a nonprofit, is there a discount to those fees? I don't know. I might break Lovable right here, but it's a valid question. Because I think it's up to like 3.5% or something like that for each. So if a donor comes on and they want to, here we go. For U.S. nonprofits, Stripe offers a nonprofit rate of 2.2% plus 30 cents per transaction for eligible 501c3 organizations versus the 2.9%. Okay. On top of that, Lovable's built-in Stripe integration adds what? If you use full compliance handling. So with a nonprofit discount and full compliance, you'd be looking at approximately 5.7% total per domestic transaction. With tax only, it'd be approximately full compliance. Okay. Oh, I'm glad I asked because that is a doozy. Okay. Okay. All right, I'll come back to that. Now, how do I get back to the plan? This is something I don't know. I'm not dealing with security quite yet. I'm gonna copy paste this response. Oh, the easy way to do it is this. Just so that I remember to come back to it and figure out how to deal with that. Because 5.7%, like the donors would take that on, right? Not the recipient. So say a recipient asks for $500. That's like, well, that's like another $25 added, which the donors may not want to do. But I guess if it's a donate what you want instead of the whole thing, you donate what your budget is, and then if it's $300 at your budget, the $25 just eats into that 300. Okay. All right, we shall see. Okay. Okay. Let me continue reviewing the plan. If any of y'all use Lovable and know how to get back to the plan more easily, let me know because I usually try and not like click out of the plan for this very reason. I don't know how to get back to it seamlessly. Because I still need to approve it. All right. No, I already said you did a good job. But, oh, well, it's probably just redesigning the plan based on the feedback that I've given. Okay, so we have the brand. We talked about all this stuff. We reviewed all this stuff. We reviewed all this stuff. Gated need detail. We've reviewed all that. Donations, test mode initially. I don't know that we need full compliance. I don't know why it's doing all that. Database stuff. This is interesting to me, but doubt it's interesting to you. I will look at it in more detail later after it's actually built. Now it's just talking about the technical architecture and what it'll use to get things going. And then now it's going to tell me the steps it's taking to build. Okay. And then it's telling me what's deferred. I'm going to copy what's deferred because it won't forget. It just may not bring it back as soon as I would like it to. So I just want to be able to copy paste and say, okay, let's focus on this, let's focus on this, let's focus on this. All right, I think I've gone through this plan well enough. Let's go ahead and hit approve and see what it comes out with for its first pass. I've already used the 5 credits just in plan mode. That is because of the back and forth. So I asked it gave me the plan. I had some feedback, went back and forth. Every time it thinks, every time I answer a question, it takes a little bit of the credits. So I've already gone through those 5. And then we'll see how much just getting this first version out takes us to. And then we'll call it for the day. So yeah, we've already used 5. It was 152 at first. Let's see how it does. Now, when I built SewSabi, it asked me if I wanted to break up this part. So even though it had the plan and we knew exactly what we wanted to build, and you saw that last section, that the 12 steps of how it plans to build it, after it completed like 2 or 3 steps, it would come back and say, oh, there's a lot of work here. Do you still want to continue? And I'd be like, yep, let's go. So I'll probably just keep saying, yep, let's go. Yep, let's go until it gets through all 12 steps. And then we'll log off for the day. Oh, this is almost an hour. Okay. Another 5-10 minutes, we should be done. Now, I would love for you guys to let me know what's helpful for you. Obviously, this will be the shell kind of. A lot of things will work already. When we come back next week, what I'll end up doing is some testing of what we have here. If I'm being completely honest, I'll probably work on it between now and next week, just because I want to make some decent progress before I drop this baby. I've got about a month left. But I will try and record whatever it is that I do between now and next week, and maybe leave some of the more like fun stuff for our live stream. So let me know what you want to see. If you have questions, happy to do a demo in Gamma, for example, or happy to do more extensive PRD documentation workups in ChatGPT. Or if you have a Lovable project that you want to work with me on live during a live stream, hit me up. Happy to do so. Just leave a comment and let me know what you're looking for. Restarted preview, running commands, self checkout, restart. All right, serving. Let me also see a tiny bit of demo data. So the home page isn't empty. AIC is live in the preview. Home page, browse, gated detail page, off. Email plus Google plus Apple, recipient application and need submission. Donor dashboard, admin console, donation checkout, and the Stripe webhook are all wired to your cloud backend. To make yourself the first admin, sign up, and then I can grant you the admin role on request or run a quick role grant from the backend. Okay. It's still getting the preview going. Usually when this button becomes live is when the preview will come into play. And 136. So I'm at 16 credits. That's how much you used total. 152 minus 136, 16 credits. Okay. Now you might say, this is the 5 credit startup. You use 16 credits in order to get this up and going. Pause. Okay. Because I told you, I built Rialto with being only on 5 credits a day. It will let you build as much as you can with your 5 credits and then tell you, okay, this is what we got. And then you come back the next day and it'll continue from where you left off. You come back the next day and you continue from where you left off. So I use 3 days of development in one. This would just take you 3 days instead. Okay. I'm waiting for the preview. Waiting for the preview. Okay, looks like it has the pages built out. It's taking a couple seconds to get the preview actually up and running. I'll give it like another minute and then refresh. Sometimes it gets a little stuck. You need to refresh it. I also didn't specify a logo. We have a logo that we're using. I don't know that I'm in love with it, so I didn't specify that because I wanted to see what Lovable would come up with. There we go. Not in love with this. Okay. Not in love with the logo that it came up with, I should say. Interesting that it looks a lot like the Gamma version from a look and feel perspective. I'm glad that it didn't keep this color. I wasn't really in love with this color. I will say that it's a lot emptier than I thought it would be, at least on the main page. We can come back and zhuzh that up. We'll definitely work on that. Let's see, browse needs. Okay, so this is where needs will go if and when they're available or when they're available, how it works. Okay. There, from my perspective, there's a lot of zhuzhing up that this needs. And I'm kind of glad because that gives us more work that we can do together, because this feels very very, very basic, especially compared to other things that it's designed. AOC takes no platform fee. Okay. Okay, so that's it for today. I won't hold y'all any longer. We will come back next week. I think I'll focus on some smaller stuff, like more of the, like I said, some of the back end plumbing type of stuff. But from a visualization standpoint, this compared to this, they are 2 leagues of their own. So I'm definitely gonna use this as a guide for Lovable, because it's leaving out a lot of information. I'm not sure why. It's leaving a lot of good juicy details out, which is surprising. And then also I'll do some more thinking on what I want this logo to look like. And then we'll also create accounts so that we can play around with things, probably create a request need, see how those things go. But this is the general idea of how to get an app up and running in Lovable. And then when we come back, we'll talk about how to make it more personal, how to make it more functional for what you're trying to do. So I appreciate y'all sticking around. Ooh, let me stop because no one likes those. I appreciate y'all sticking around and going through this with me. I know it took a little bit of time, but it's a lot less time than if you were working with human developers. So until next time, I'll see y'all.